Hey everyone, welcome back to Thoughtmosphere. So today we'll be looking at Ethereum on-chain analysis and 4 metrics why I think we might be going downwards, then sideways before going to the moon. Disclaimer, nothing I say is financial advice. So before I start, just a quick recap on what is V-accumulation. It's basically the sideways consolidation phase during a macro bull market at the end of a rally followed by a correction and then some sideways movement. And we're going to go through 4 metrics that shows why ETH could be going down and then sideways. So the first metric that I'm going to talk about is the exchange net flow volume. This is basically whether Ethereum is entering or exiting exchanges. If it's green over here, Ethereum is entering exchanges, and this could mean that it's entering exchanges to sell, which could lead to selling pressure and the price might go down. And when it's leaving exchanges, right, and that's shown by red, which means it's outflow, this is usually a sign that Ethereum is not being sent into exchanges, or in fact it's exiting exchanges for accumulation or hodling. And this is usually shown where the price increases. But right now we might be seeing a potential bottoming formation. So we're creating a higher low. If you see over here, there might be a potential higher low. It's a bit early to say, but this could be a sign that Ethereum might be slowing down on the leaving of exchanges, which could be a potential bearish signal. Yep. Ethereum on exchanges is still hitting new all-time low. So generally speaking, accumulation might be continuing. It's just that in the near term, Ethereum might have a correction. So the next metric that I'm going to talk about is the futures funding rate, which is basically the funding rate of perpetual futures contract. So we can see that the funding rate has decreased recently, and right now it's close to 0. And we can see that every time it's decreasing, you can see the price decreasing as well. And when it's close to 0, sometimes it just goes sideways. Like over here, when it's around 0, it just goes sideways. So this could potentially mean that ETH is going sideways, or at the very least, it's not going to go up. So the lower the funding rate, it means that there are less people longing, or it means that there are more people shorting, and that might mean that there is less upside potential. And if we look at the futures open interest, which means how many futures contracts are out there right now, it's also decreasing. However, it has not really decreased a lot yet, because if you can see the past, it's actually a lot lower, and we are still relatively high up here. So this means that the amount of futures open interest is still high, and that means that there could still be high speculation. And usually if you want to clear the slate, you want speculation to die down, so you want this to go down a bit lower. But it has dropped quite significantly already, about almost half, from 10 billion, this was actually more like 12 billion, all the way down to 6 billion. So potentially this means that there is less speculation, which means lower volatility and generally more sideways movements. But it could go down further before it goes sideways. So the next metric that I'm going to talk about is the short-term holders net unrealized profit and loss. This is basically the profit and loss on paper for short-term holders, which are typically Ethereum holders that are less than 90 days. So anything less than 90 days is considered as a short-term holder. And you can see that we are actually still in the orange zone, and orange means hope or fear. In this case, probably more fear than hope. And because we haven't entered capitulation, it means that there might be potential downside. Because usually, after a strong rally up, right, we get into the belief phase, and then after that we slowly die down, and we get into the capitulation phase. So without a capitulation phase, it's hard to have a new rally. And right now we have not had the capitulation phase yet, so it might be coming soon. So we don't know. It's still a bit early to say, but this could be a sign that there is more downside to go. And then if you look at the long-term holders, right, the net unrealized profit for long-term holders is still really high, right? Generally, we're still in a euphoria state. I bought ETH way back down around, I think it was around here, and my gains are still in the hundreds of percent. So I belong to the euphoria and greed phase. And if we look at the previous consolidation zone or previous rally and then consolidation, you'll see that it goes from blue to green to yellow to even orange. And so because we are still generally in euphoria, the vast majority of long-term ETH holders are still in euphoria and greed, which usually means that there's more room to drop. So this could be a sign that we shouldn't be too hopeful as well. Do expect more downward potential essentially. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to look at is the ETH holdings addresses. So the smaller accounts, right, the fishes as they call it, they are actually selling their Ethereum. So as they continue to sell, the downward pressure of ETH increases, and that makes Ethereum's price decrease. And then the whales, those that are holding Ethereum above 10,000, are basically the ones that are buying. So whales generally, they like to manipulate market and they like to buy things cheap. So as the price, they would like to make the price of Ethereum continue to drop while they continue to accumulate, which means that we either go down or go sideways before eventually going up. So in summary, I believe we might fall slightly first and then go sideways. This doesn't mean that we might not rebound to some higher level than we are right now, but I do believe that if we rebound, we would not create a new all-time high. Probably around the 3,000 range is the maximum that I see it at potentially, and then from there we'll go lower. We could create a new local low. So it hit around 1.8k previously. It's very possible that we fall below that level into 1.5k or something. In my next video, I'll be going through technical analysis and I'll be showing where are the potential areas that Ethereum can fall to, and then how long I think this entire thing can last. So on-chain metric summary is basically there is lower exchange supply, so lesser selling, but we are seeing a potential bottoming. So it might mean that the selling pressure might start to increase. We don't know yet. The futures funding rate is also decreasing. So there is either less longs or more shorts, which could mean more downward pressure or generally less volatility as well because the open interest is dropping. And most Ethereum holders are still in profit, so there is still room to drop so that the holders, long-term holders, start to feel a bit of pain, which historically is the case after such a strong rally. And then lastly, the whales, they like to accumulate cheap Ethereum, so it wouldn't be too surprising to see the price of Ethereum continue to drop, which will let the whales continue to accumulate cheap Ethereum before the eventual upward movement. So generally speaking, the sideways market is here to stay for a few months, and during this period, it's wise to stake some of your ETH if you don't want to sell all of your ETH, which I don't recommend as well. It's always good to have some skin in the game, and you can buy on dips. I don't recommend range trading too much if you are not experienced, because typically the most upside occurs in just a few days. So if you held for all days, right, you get a high upside, but if you just miss the best 10 days, you actually miss out on over 100% of the gains, which is very painful. So the best strategy, I think, is not to range trade too much. A dynamic strategy where you buy as it drops and then maybe sell if it goes up, because this is a range after all, might be a good potential strategy during this sideways accumulation. So range trading a bit is okay as long as it's towards the top and bottom of the range during these few months, but not with your entire stash probably. Okay, so what I'm doing is basically I'm hodling because I sold ETH around 4k already and I have enough cash position. So I'm actually looking to buy on dips every week if we get a dip. If we go sideways, then that's fine. If we go up and we get a hard bounce, then I might consider selling some depending on how hard we bounce. Like if we bounce above 3k, I am probably going to be selling more Ethereum because I believe that we are in a sideways accumulation and I don't see us going to a new leg higher during this period. And I'm also writing and selling options for additional income while I continue to farm LP for more income as well. So the last 2 points, writing options and farming liquidity, I will go into that in a future video very soon. So if you are looking for information on this how to earn additional income during bear market, do remember to look out for that video. Yep, so thanks for watching. I hope you find this video useful, and subscribe and like if you enjoyed it. Thank you.